Malafaia criticizes Flávio Bolsonaro's choice of running mate. The main religious ally of the Bolsonaro family talks about the choice of Alfredo Gaspar as running mate and says that the senator missed the chance to silence his critics. Actually, he gave a gift to Lula, let's be honest. And another thing, Flávio couldn't find a woman to be his running mate. He wanted one from the PP, do PP. He couldn't do it. He wanted one from União Brasil. He couldn't do it. He wanted one from Republicanos. He couldn't do it. He wanted one from Podemos. He couldn't do it. So he had to go with a single party ticket. And he even ended up with a congressman whose situation is complicated, Alfredo Gaspar. Lula appreciates it. Now we can't fail to say that Flávio was consistent with his choice, right? Criminals like other criminals, right? Criminals attract other criminals. So like Flávio was kind of consistent with his choice. He chose someone similar, from what it looks like. And Flávio is also officially under investigation for Daniel Alvarcaro's mafia, which they still haven't explained to this day. The 61 million that they say went to the movie, and so far no one has brought any proof of where that money went. And Flávio, who said he didn't even know Daniel Alvarcaro, was suddenly demanding millions of reais from Daniel Alvarcaro, who leaked the audio. So, it's complicated, right? Then we just look at it like this. This fishing expedition for evidence that they're trying, actually not trying, they're doing it. In relation to Fábio, Lula's son, Lulinha, where they've already obtained his bank, tax, and telecommunications records, all kinds of things, right? Then you look at it and think, guys, was that audio from Lulinha? No, it was Flávio. And so far, André Mendonça hasn't taken any action against Flávio Bolsonaro. And as for disclosure orders and search and seizure, nothing. The only thing he did was order the opening of an investigation into Flávio Bolsonaro and Eduardo Bolsonaro. Regarding Lulinha, this is the third police investigation opened, so they're really digging deep. It's not the same standard, not the same yardstick, And that's concerning, right? Besides the issue with videos, right? Do you remember that video of Flávio? I even told you guys this video is absurd. Where Flávio was there with his father in a fighter jet with the use of artificial intelligence, portraying Lula as being involved in drug trafficking and with the PCC, that kind of thing, using artificial intelligence. Flávio posted this video. Then the PT took action to take down the video. Then André Mendonça said no. That Flávio's video on his social media is all fine, that it's freedom of speech. Then, on the other hand, the PL filed a lawsuit to take down a video by Congressman Lindenberg Farias, which was also doing something similar, linking Flávio to the militia. But Lindenberg Farias showed photos of Flávio with militia members and all that. Then André Mendonça went there and ordered the video to be taken down. Flávio using artificial intelligence to attack, defame, and insult, that's considered freedom of expression. Or anyone else who does it against Flávio, then it's not allowed. Then it's an abuse of freedom of speech. So like things are getting really ugly. It's getting really blatant, Shielding, a protection and a strategy to benefit. That's what it seems. Flávio Bolsonaro, by ministers of the Supreme Court and the Superior Electoral Court. Then, to make the whole situation worse, Reinaldo Azevedo, yesterday, he said he had information that Cássio Nunes Marques, minister of the Supreme Federal Court and president of the Superior Electoral Court, got involved. He stepped in to see if the PP agreed. If he accepted Flavio's invitation to be Flavio's vice, Ciro Nogueira's PP. Wait, but what do you mean, Andre? How can a justice on the TSC, a Supreme Court justice, the president of the TSC, get involved in a situation like this in the context of an election? Playing games there to see if he can fix things? Vice for Flávio from the PP, the Progressive Party, whose president today is Ciro Nogueira. So I'm the one asking you. And Reinaldo Azevedo said he got this information yesterday on his channel, on his social media where he works. He even talked about it in his reports. So rights aren't being treated equally. There is no equality of arms. And Lula, it seems, is being harmed by the judiciary itself. By Andre Mendonça and Nunes Marques. That's what it looks like. And this is very serious. And we have to talk about this and we have to show this, because this isn't right. And this has to provoke, at the very least, a sense of indignation. Because as I told you, if you want to win the election, do what Flávio does. Man, right? Run for office, do everything, but winning by cheating, with dirty tricks, with underhanded tactics that should make all of us feel outraged. Want to win? Win the right way. Like this, it will end up backfiring and causing outrage instead. And this could result in more votes for Lula. And because it's so blatant, it's already ugly. And look, we're in August. There's still September and October to go. Do you understand? So we need to talk about this. Like the live stream, share it, because this really isn't right. Oh. Cássio Nunes Marques would have acted to support the PP. From Ciro Gomes to Flávio Bolsonaro, says journalist Reinaldo Azevedo, Nunes Marques joined the Supreme Court in 2020 after an agreement between Flávio Bolsonaro and Ciro Nogueira. Who sponsored the nomination? Current president of the Superior Electoral Court, the minister changed rules to concentrate power and has issued rulings favorable to Senator Flávio Bolsonaro. Good point. Cássio Nunes Marques only became a federal Supreme Court justice because Flávio Bolsonaro teamed up with Ciro Nogueira. And they convinced Bolsonaro to nominate Cássio Nunes Marques as a federal Supreme Court justice. And now Reinaldo Azevedo reveals that the Superior Electoral Court Justice Cássio Nunes Marques intervened there to try to place a PP running mate on Flávio's ticket. Is that allowed? You can't do that, guys. That's a scandal. If there's proof of this, if this is confirmed, that's a scandal that requires immediate removal of Minister Nunes, of Cássio Nunes Marques, from the presidency of Brazil's Superior Electoral Court, and from any case involving Flávio Bolsonaro. This is very serious, very serious. This should be formally filed with the Prosecutor General. This is serious. And what else did Cássio do now? He changed some rules at Brazil's Superior Electoral Court. And situations involving advertising, videos, social media posts, he centralized the decisions for himself. For Andre Mendonça and for a woman justice there, whose name I forgot now, on the Superior Electoral Court. All the cases, all the legal actions involving posts, videos, and artificial intelligence, All of that goes to those three. And they are favoring, it seems, Flávio Bolsonaro. Because when it's the left that posts, they're abusing it. The video has to be taken down. When it's Flávio Bolsonaro, when it's the right posting, everything's fine. It's freedom of speech. It's allowed. The post can stay up. That's what's happening right now. That's why when I tell you that we need to get more involved, that's a reality. We need to get more involved. How, Andre? By liking, commenting, and sharing. Because when you do that, YouTube, whether you want it or not, the YouTube bots end up recommending the video to reach more people. It suggests the video to more people. Because if it's up to the justice system, from Casio Nunes Marquez, from everything, the whole sea, everyone will be silenced. Everyone will have to be taken down and they have to keep going. Thank you. So engagement across our progressive social media has to be a reality. Because we are already at a disadvantage. Thank you. There is no level playing field. They are able to do things that we can't. Do you understand? Do you understand? And that makes me really upset. Because as I said, if you want to win, win the right way. Flávio won't win through legal maneuvering. He won't. No, we won't accept that. And this gathering here is already a reaction. Thank you. To raise people's awareness, and that's not right. If you want to win, win fair and square. If not, get out, or the people will spit you out just like they did with Bolsonaro. Flávio, thank you. In 2022, André Mendonça is protecting Flávio Bolsonaro. Look at what Congressman Lindenberg Farias explained here. In this context, given what I'm explaining to you here, and that we have to stay alert and react. How? By speaking up, showing again, speaking again, commenting, sharing, and liking. Look here at what he said.
Minister Andre Mendonça has just made a decision that favors Flávio Bolsonaro. Minister, do you know what the problem is here with respect? The thing is, there can't be double standards at the TSC, because in an almost identical situation, there was a decision by Minister Andre Mendonça requesting the removal of my video. I want to explain. This video now, in which he ruled in favor of Flávio Bolsonaro, is an AI-generated video. It's fake news. He piloted a fighter jet and tried to associate the PT with Comando Vermelho and PCC. All right, then, freedom of speech. In my case, I cite my sources. I actually link Flávio to criminal organizations. Which ones? Militia. Adriano de Nobre was honored by Flávio. Adriano de Nobre's mother and wife worked in Flávio's office. Major Rondi was honored by Flávio. He is sentenced to 56 years for Marielle's murder. These are public facts. They were reported in the press. But Alessandro Caracena Pitombeira was Claudio Castro's Secretary of Sports. He was recommended by Flávio Bolsonaro. Everybody knows that. It's in the press. This guy is in jail. Involvement with Comando Vermelho. In my case, the video was taken down. But I want to draw attention here to the arguments, and I say this, Minister Andre Mendonça, with respect. Because I hope that the Superior Electoral Court standardizes its rules and procedures. There can't be double standards. There has to be equality. You can't have a decision against me, and then the same argument is used in favor of Flávio. Let's go. Look at Minister Andre Mendonça's decision in my case, talking about artificial intelligence. The use of artificial intelligence without transparency justifies precautionary removal. You saw it. Let's go. In the decision favorable to Flávio, The use of artificial intelligence resources by itself does not automatically lead to electoral illegality. How does that work? There are two opposing decisions. In my case, the use of artificial intelligence counted against me justifies the precautionary motion. I'm recording this video because, in fact, I was bothered. There has to be a unification of the rules. I repeat, there can't be double standards. Minister Andre Poir.
Apparently, that's what's happening. There was an interesting question here. Look at this. Look. Within this context, Flavia, Andrea, I think, no, it's not this one, no. But this one is also within the context. Andrea, I think it's all one clique. I ask, where are the honest ones in the Supreme Court? Why don't they see everything? Why do they remain silent? Flavia, the justice of the federal Supreme Court can only act if he is formally petitioned. The justices cannot intervene in another justice's decision unless the matter is formally brought before them. Then there was another one. Then you say, Andrea, but who has to act then? The prosecutor general. The political parties, the federal deputies, and the senators have to file complaints about these situations. They have to do it. I know there are people who don't want to do it so they don't provoke the anger of Andre Mendonça and Nunes Marques, but right now, we can't tolerate what's happening. We have to file complaints. And who has to initiate it, Andrea? So this situation, the Office of the Prosecutor General or the Office of the Electoral Prosecutor General, which is headed by Paulo Gonet. Paulo Gonet needs to be called upon, and Paulo Gonet needs to start doing what he can do, which is to raise the issue. And like that, call on other ministers to analyze that situation. Do you understand, my dear? If not, my other ministers can't interfere. For example, there was another interesting question here, look, that they asked here. That's all. Within this context, sometimes I explain it and it just goes by. Here's what the person said. But Andrea, it landed here, it passed here. The situations don't just come up. It's not by random draw. Isn't it supposed to be random? Why are Andre Mendonça and Nunes Marques getting everything if assignments should be by random draw? Because the president of the TSE who controls the agenda, you know? There are many situations during the electoral process. There are many cases filed trying to take down posts, videos, and so on. And so as not to overload the other justices, pay attention here. It's better for the president and the vice president to handle these cases. Because as a rule, it's by lottery. You get there, it's a lottery. The justice it lands on, it goes to their office for them to decide. But Nunes Marques, the clever one, said no. That the whole situation regarding artificial intelligence, posts, videos on social media, he's the one who will decide. Nunes Marques, Andre Mendonça, and another female justice there. That's the situation. It was the decision he made. An administrative decision. And you say, Andrea, can he decide that? Yes, he can. Because he's the president of the court. And he handles the organization of all those matters. Do you understand? Are you getting the point? Yes, so it's complicated. We need to pay close attention to all this, right? Shall we check out some reactions here? Because it's causing quite a stir. Let's play Reinaldo Azevedo saying that Nunes Marques got involved in the conversation to try to find Flávio a running mate. Guys, this is absurd. This is absurd beyond measure. Look here, okay? I'll put it here, okay? It was in Forum magazine. I'm not using X directly since I don't have it, and clicking X here won't be allowed. See for yourself.
Look, I found out that Nunes Marques decided to step in and try to get the PP into the alliance with Flávio, the president of the Superior Electoral Court. Trying to form a political alliance? I think it's out of place. No, it's not going well. No, exactly. Isa?
It's strange.
It's strange.
What do you think, my dear? I think it's really strange. No, it's not just strange. This situation is really strange. This is really weird, you know? Yeah, the fight is going to be tough, you know? Thank God we have Lula. Let me tell you something. Flávio can't take down Lula. Let the market come. Let the journalists come. Let all those shady deals come. Those situations where they're getting favors and help, even Donald Trump can come. Anything can come. Especially with this running mate now. He won't beat Lula, no. And Lula is even closer to winning, and in the first round too. And many Bolsonaro supporters themselves are upset with Flávio Bolsonaro's choice. It wasn't supposed to be him. But obviously they chose him because Arthur Lira was the main beneficiary. And very possibly Flávio is under Arthur Lira's thumb. Why did it benefit Arthur Lira, Andrea? Because Alfredo Gaspar on Tuesday announced that he would run for the Senate over there in Alagoas. And whose votes would he take? From Arthur Lira, who is also running for the Senate in Alagoas. With him out of the picture, Arthur Lira already has the Senate seat in Alagoas all but locked up. Did you get the message? Flávio Bolsonaro is probably under Arthur Lira's thumb. What does Arthur Lira know about Flávio? Huh? Because Flávio pulled a stunt like this and gave this gift to Lula by choosing this guy as his running mate. For me, it's because Flávio is in Arthur Lira's pocket. And now Arthur Lira is demanding his price. Maybe to keep quiet. I don't know. Let's see here, because it was a surprise for everyone, guys. Even Global News reported that Flávio Bolsonaro's choice came as a surprise to everyone. From this guy who had even announced the day before that he would run for the Senate in Alagoas to try to take down Arthur Lira. And now, Arthur Lira got the gift. Why is that?
Everyone was surprised, including in Alagoas, right, where he had announced himself as president of the Senate. So there's a hidden figure who is the biggest beneficiary of this move. His name is...
It's on your blog, and I'll put it here for you to check out as well.
His name is Arthur Lira, former Speaker of the Chamber of Deputies, and together with Gaspar, he was competing for the right-wing votes in Alagoas. So what was the situation like in Alagoas? You had Renan and Gaspar. The candidate for governor from that right-wing group was JHC, former mayor of Maceió. But JHC would say, guys, as a candidate for governor, I need a Senate seat. And Lira and Alfredo Gaspar wouldn't give it up. They closed ranks and said no, they cornered him. JHC stopped talking to Renan Calheiros. So the right-wing side there was divided. Then, in a last-minute move, Alfredo Gaspar surprisingly joins Flávio's ticket. Why? Because JHC, cornered by Lira and Alfredo Gaspar, sent the following message. If you two keep messing around, I'm going to run for senator. And the polls show that the former mayor would easily beat both Lira and Alfredo Gaspar. So, there was a scenario in Alagoas involving Alfredo Gaspar, Arthur Lira, and JHC that was very tense, because the other camp is Lula's. That camp is already settled. Renan Filho, candidate for governor. Renan Senior, candidate for senator. So, Flávio Bolsonaro's camp was there in Maceió in a fratricidal war. So you take Alfredo Gaspar, you open up a Senate seat for the right. There's a chance that Lira will pick up the phone. Mayor, let's talk, let's compete for the right-wing vote. So, you put up a candidate for senator. Yesterday, they mentioned JHC's wife as a candidate for the Senate. So, Alagoas politics really influenced Flávio's decision. It caught everyone by surprise.
And I'll tell you more. This situation doesn't just benefit Arthur Lira. It also benefits the PT caucus there in Alagoas. Right, Andre? Yes. Why? Because it took Alfredo Gaspar, the right-wing candidate, out of the race, opening up space for the left as well. Then you stop and think, Andre, but how come Flávio chose someone who will also benefit the left in Alagoas? He will. It's not just Arthur Lira. It will benefit the left in Alagoas too. And it will benefit Lula because the guy he chose is terrible. That's right. For me, Flávio is in Arthur Lira's hands. And there was no way Flávio could say no to Arthur Lira. Why, Andre? Because if you have dirt on you, you enter an environment of illegality and you never truly have your freedom again. Why, Andre? Because he often ends up being the target of blackmail. Look, do this, that, or else you know what I know, right? What you did last summer. Yeah. So, like, you end up being a hostage to situations because you have a lot to hide because of what you did last summer and because you live in a glass house. And for me, that's what happened. Flávio Bolsonaro is being a victim of his past and the schemes he was involved in, which Arthur Lira knows about. Otherwise, Flávio would never do this, guys. Flávio is losing support from more Bolsonaro supporters with the choice of this guy as his running mate. It's because he has nowhere to run. He has dirt on him, and Arthur Lira used it against him. To benefit himself, obviously. That must be it. But there are more people talking about this here. Tony De Paula also talked about this situation, which I want to show you here. Pay attention.
Come on. Do you think it's normal for a presidential candidate, in this case Flávio Bolsonaro, going around asking for a running mate, looking for a party willing to back him and simply not finding one? The PP União Federation told Flávio Bolsonaro, no, we don't want to walk with you. We will remain neutral. Then Flávio begged Marcos Pereira, president of Republicanos. And he said, no, we will also remain neutral. We will not back you. So Flávio Bolsonaro ran to Renata Abreu, president of Podemos, and she decided, no, I don't want to be your running mate and we will not back you. We will remain neutral. Pay attention. These parties are not neutral. There is no neutrality in politics. These parties realize that Flávio Bolsonaro's chances of becoming president of the Republic are getting smaller and smaller. And there is also a suspicion that new scandals may arise.
That's what I've been telling you. The right and part of the far right are not together with Flávio Bolsonaro at the rally with alliances and everything. Why? Because they're afraid of what will still be revealed. Why is that? There will be more bombshells regarding Flávio Bolsonaro's schemes. And what are they afraid of losing? Votes for state deputy, for federal deputy, for the senator, and for the governor if they make an alliance with Flávio. That's what's happening. And besides all this, Flávio is just making a mess, right? Just making a scene. That ridiculous little dance with his alliance with Eduardo Bolsonaro and the whole issue of the huge tariffs against Brazil. Right? The issue with Daniel Vocaro also weighs heavily. This alliance with Daniel Vocaro, even though he said he didn't even know him, and suddenly he was demanding millions from Daniel Vocaro. So it became unsustainable to support Flávio Bolsonaro. And with his running mate, he's going to lose even more support. Marcelo Freixo, federal congressman, also talked about this situation. Let's take a look.
Hey, everyone. Look, a big scoop, some fresh news. Flávio Bolsonaro announces his candidate for vice president. That's right. Who is it? Alfredo Gaspar from the Liberal Party. Of course, it can't be from another party because he can't form an alliance with anyone. Alfredo Gaspar from the Liberal Party, it makes a lot of sense for him to be Flávio Bolsonaro's vice presidential candidate. He is under investigation for rape. In other words, Flávio Bolsonaro spent his whole life saying it was going to be a woman. He announced Teresa Cristina. He announced an attempt to pick a woman from Maceió as his running mate. Nope, it's a man from the PL. But more than that, he's under investigation for the rape of a 13-year-old girl. Yes. He's under investigation for the rape of a 13-year-old girl. That's Flávio Bolsonaro's vice presidential candidate. Picking a vice presidential candidate is a big decision. That tells you what kind of ticket this is, right? From all over Brazil, he chose this one. As expected, this vice presidential candidate is also being investigated by the Federal Court of Accounts for a 6 million reais PIX amendment. 6 million reais in a municipality there in Alagoas. That's right, so he has issues there with the Court of Accounts regarding the PIX amendment. He is under investigation for the rape of a 13-year-old girl, and he is Flávio Bolsonaro's PL guy, picked as his vice presidential candidate. Just great, Flávio, just great, right? You know what the problem is? You're totally isolated. Because you're lying compulsively, so you're not able to form any alliances. And every party is saying the following. No, we're going to stay independent. It's because nobody wants to be near you, man. Look who you had to choose as your running mate. Look where you ended up, man. That's why today's Quest poll shows Lula leading in all scenarios. The poll is from today, folks. Lula already has 44, Flávio, below 40. That's it. Lula is taking the lead because he has history, because there's truth in his words. And you, Flávio, one blunder after another, right? Let's go. What a great running mate, huh?
Yeah, to sum it up, Lula is grateful. Lula is grateful. See, Flávio? It almost seems like you're campaigning for Lula, Flávio. Why is that? You didn't have a choice, did you, Flávio? It's in Arthur Lira's hands, right? Yeah, that's what happens. That's what happens. If you have something to hide, you end up getting screwed. But we have to say one thing, which is a fact. Flávio was consistent. He was consistent.
I would like to congratulate Flávio Bolsonaro on his choice because crooks hang out with crooks, right?
Did you see Flávio Bolsonaro's new VP?
No, actually, I saw it, and I think it's the first time I have to say that Flávio was really consistent in his choice. It's Congressman Alfredo Gaspar from the PL. I went to look this guy up. He was elected in 2022. He began his first year in 2023 and hasn't even served 4 years, yet he already has a string of accusations of corruption and diverting parliamentary amendment funds. And if that's not enough, it gets worse. This guy has been accused of raping a vulnerable person. I wanted to congratulate Flávio Bolsonaro on his choice because crooks stick together, right? In fact, I want to offer a reflection. What if something goes wrong here and Flávio Bolsonaro gets elected president? And if this country is serious because he's a criminal, he gets summoned, gets arrested, then we'll have Alfredo Gaspar as president. A guy accused of rape, already diverted parliamentary amendments, less than 4 years in office, not even a full term, and already a criminal record. Congrats to those voting for a criminal who keeps mentioning God.
Who is bringing as a bonus for you, Jack, who was accused of raping a minor? I want to congratulate Flávio Bolsonaro for his choice, because crooks hang out with crooks.
Wow, things are heating up. Cabaret, put it on, my dear. Congratulations, Flávio. Lula thanks you. The first round is getting closer for Lula's fourth win. Put it on, for God's sake. Don't leave me talking to myself. Don't leave me talking to myself. Please, please, wake up. Manly Brazil women. And Lula, yesterday, Lula gave an interview to Meteoro, and we're going to highlight some very important parts here. Go ahead, my dear.
Take the history of every president this country has had and compare if anyone ever did even a tenth of the social inclusion policies that we did. That makes me very proud. I am the president who created the most universities, the most federal institutes, the most university hospitals, and established the most indigenous territories. The settlement of small landowners in agrarian reform. We settled the most Quilombola communities and created the most forest reserve. You know, that is, I'm able to do everything that made me run for office in the first place.
Look, and let me tell you something. Let me ask you a question. What has Flávio Bolsonaro ever done? No. Just one thing that he managed to do. Flávio never managed to do anything for Brazil. He never built a university, never built a bridge, never did anything, not in his 16 years as a state representative, nor now in his 8 years as a senator. 24 years of public life feeding at the public trough. Flávio Bolsonaro never managed to do anything for Brazil. Now Lula is the president who opened the most federal universities, federal institutes, hospitals, and delivered homes through Minha Casa Minha Vida. Lula has done so many things already. That's why I tell you all, Flávio Bolsonaro still has a long way to go to catch up with Lula. He'll have to grow a lot, but there's no way. You know why? Because his schemes have already created barriers where he's at the mercy of others, and there's no way for him to break free because he's dirty as they come. There's nothing to even compare, guys. Now, of course, as long as many people don't use their cognitive abilities, they will still be manipulated and deceived. The whole issue of chloroquine, ivermectin, and the denialists is coming back thanks to Nicolas Ferreira and other denialists. So really, there's just no comparison. Lula is the man. You can write that down. Let's watch more of his speech.
Who runs our country is the Brazilian people. The ones who run in elections here are Brazilians, and anyone can run. So here's the thing. Don't get involved, because I doubt that in their country they have a more honest electoral system than ours.
Is Brazil prepared to face the possibility of foreign interference in our democratic process, President?
Brazil is not only prepared, but will face anyone from outside who wants to interfere in our electoral process. And we want to be treated with respect. I don't accept it. Exactly. It's a lie about Brazil. This country is large and has a rich history. It has a lot of responsibility, and no one can imagine that they will defeat Brazil with lies. You can't. Now, with all due respect, I'm not one to talk tough. But here's the thing. The ones who rule our country are the Brazilian people. The ones who rule our country are the Brazilian people. The people who run in elections here are Brazilians. That's where you can run. So here's the thing. Don't get involved, because I doubt that in their country they have a more honest electoral system than ours.
Brazil is ready.
Ready. We are the ones who run Brazil. Don't get involved. Go take care of your own country, your own people who are struggling over there, the Americans, the Argentinians struggling with Javier Milei. Go take care of your own backyard, my dear. Have some patience, for heaven's sake. As my grandmother used to say, my dear, take care of what's yours and stop meddling, and sticking your nose into other people's business. It's the same thing with these people. Oh, Lord, have mercy. And shall we talk about Nicolas? Because we have to talk about it, right, folks? The pandemic was a catastrophe, wasn't it? Almost a genocide where more than 700,000 people died. And many of them could have been saved if the vaccine had arrived earlier in Brazil. And thanks to Bolsonaro's denialist and mocking attitude, that didn't happen. And again, Nicolas Ferreira to get engagement, because what really gets a lot of engagement on social media, unfortunately, is lies, fake news, violence, and hate speech. We know that. Especially with those shorter videos, the ones that go viral. Our work here, the work that's more explanatory, that shows situations, it's a struggle. It's a struggle every day. You have no idea. But this is necessary. Because we need to get out of this environment, often of these little videos that carry no responsibility, that we have to explain and to show. Even if many times it doesn't go viral, like a short little video. And Nicolas Ferreira knows what I'm talking about. So he went back once again to doing all this to try to go viral and secure his re-election as a federal deputy. With hate, with lies, with denialism, with fake news. And the saddest part is that he chose this topic, which is so serious and so important to most Brazilians who had relatives, loved ones who lost their lives because they didn't have time to get vaccinated. Isn't that right? It is. So we have to talk about this. Let's put it here. The video of the minister, the current Minister of Health. And then let's put the video of the previous Minister of Health, Anicia Trindade. Anicia. Look here, let's see the first one, the current Minister of Health, Padilla.
That Jair Bolsonaro was right.
They can make up as many new revelations as they want. Nothing erases what happened during the COVID pandemic in Brazil, while they want you to keep remembering the masks, about the impact on businesses having to stay at home, about an unfairly treated president. This is what they want you to forget.
There has been an increase in burials due to COVID-19 again.
The Tarahumara Cemetery started burying the dead in common graves, taking away families' right to say goodbye as they would like.
The numbers keep increasing like this, faster and faster. They're jumping up.
When Brazil recorded it, that's 2,349 deaths in a single day.
The lives lost were those of Brazilians just like all of us. They weren't people who were doomed to die for any other reason.
More than 700,000 Brazilian men and women died. Meanwhile, look where the president was on the day Brazil surpassed more than 10,000 deaths.
Hey there, that's beautiful, man. Hey, how's it going? I'm good.
When Brazilians were dying because they couldn't breathe. While the government ignored offers to buy vaccines and invested in chloroquine to turn Bolsonaro into a victim, they need to erase the real victims. While they try to rewrite history to protect themselves, Brazilian families have to deal with death.
The man from the funeral home said that if I didn't mind, he would have to leave my father's body on the ground, on the dirt, because he still had many bodies to look for and pick up. There was no proper farewell.
My mom went to live up in heaven and became a star. She watches from the window, my son. Oh, Grandma, I love you. You take care of us here.
I would give anything for my son to have had that chance. He wasn't just a number, so my pain isn't just whining. It's not. Mine hurts like hell. It hurts, you know? I won't accept anyone acting like this is normal. It's not normal. It's not normal.
Because if this vaccine had arrived just a little earlier, my husband would be here, right?
After all this, do you still think you can say that?
What happened? What's going on? Nicolas Ferreira. He's making these videos to say that Bolsonaro was right during the pandemic. But it's important for us to understand why Nicolas Ferreira is doing this, Andrea. Why is he bringing up this situation again to say that Bolsonaro was right about chloroquine, ivermectin, and not about the vaccine? It's very simple. You have to understand, everyone. Nicolas Ferreira lost a lot of support from many Bolsonaro supporters because he didn't genuinely support Flávio Bolsonaro. Nicolas Ferreira lost support from many Bolsonaro supporters because he didn't support Flávio Bolsonaro and he's not genuinely supporting him. It's all for show. So much so that he didn't go to the announcement, the convention, or the recent announcement of the running mate. And he also didn't support Eduardo Bolsonaro Bananinha with that whole situation. That situation there, he kept his distance from those situations, and now he's trying to do what? He's trying to win back the support of those Bolsonaro supporters. For that, who is he putting forward? The father, Bolsonaro himself, to say that he supports Bolsonaro, that he's with Bolsonaro, that Bolsonaro was right during the pandemic, that this and that, I don't know what else, but he's warning not to be naive or foolish. He's going after this group's vote, that he lost support for not backing Flávio and for not backing Eduardo Bolsonaro. That's what he's doing. That's his strategy. These people, they don't do anything for free and nothing without a reason. That's what he's doing. Let's hear what Anicia has to say. Former Minister of Health, also a scientist, a highly respected athlete, and even a candidate for federal deputy. Now let's see what Anicia said here about this situation.
The Ferreiras are lying once again. Talking about COVID-19 is not a matter of left or right. It's a matter of science, of public health, of defending life. The Bolsonaro government not only made a serious mistake by recommending chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine, but also treated our population in an inhumane way. In February 2020, I was at the meeting of the global scientific community organized by the World Health Organization to discuss ways and responses to the new disease. Even before COVID-19 had been declared a pandemic, at that time, all the medications that could be tested to see if they were safe and effective for COVID-19 were identified for study. It's important to pay attention to this. They were not meant for people to use in any way. They were meant for research testing to see if they would really help in dealing with the new disease. Soon, the ineffectiveness of the medication of chloroquine was proven. And more than that, a Brazilian study was a pioneer in showing that there could be serious side effects, even leading to the death of patients. This is a matter of science. This is a matter of public health. Brazil, unfortunately, kept making that mistake. When the World Health Organization, through the major Solidarity study in which Fiocruz participated, had already determined that chloroquine was not effective for COVID-19. This mistake has consequences, along with not recommending masks, the lack of social protection, and the lack of care for the public. These facts led Brazil, which has less than 3% of the world's population, to reach in May 2022 the sad figure of 11.7% of the deaths, more than 700,000 lives lost as a consequence of a denialist project. Scientific denialism that appears as a project of the far right in Brazil and in several countries around the world. Countries where science and scientists are personally attacked, on that note, and where society cannot have the protection of science. Instead of following scientific recommendations, what did the government do at that time? It denied the importance of wearing masks, spread lies about vaccines, and did not fulfill its duty to protect society.
What else is there to say, right, guys? I know that Brazilians, you know, we have they say it's a characteristic of Brazilians. I don't know if it's true or not, but they say we forget things quickly, right? And in fact, many times Brazilians are good people who often don't hold grudges or harbor resentment and end up really forgetting and letting go of many situations. That's true. But in the case of the pandemic, that's wishful thinking. If Nicolas Ferreira thinks that people are going to forget what happened during the pandemic, he's very mistaken. And if he wants the votes of those extremists, let him have them. But that's actually shooting himself in the foot more broadly in a wider sense. Why? Because people are not going to forget about their father who died, about their mother who died, about your aunt who died, about your children, about your son who died, about your grandmother who died, about your neighbor who died. They won't forget the after effects of COVID that your mother, father, grandmother, and children still have today. No one will forget. Even though we have good hearts and we tend to forget things, no one will forget the COVID-19 pandemic. No one will forget Bolsonaro mocking the sick. And today the Bolsonaro supporters say no, that Bolsonaro wasn't imitating a person who was short of breath. No, that the video was taken out of context. It wasn't just once that Bolsonaro did this. No. It was more than once. Oh, I'm short of breath. Did you forget about this video? Because he only shows another one over there where Bolsonaro sets an example and speaks. But did you forget about this video where Bolsonaro talks like this? I haven't forgotten and never will. And there's no point now in trying to defend this far right just to get votes, Nicholas, because people won't forget. Because most people, most families lost loved ones because the purchase of the vaccine was denied 11 times by Bolsonaro. In fact, the pandemic only stopped after chloroquine, after ivermectin. No, that's not true. After people were vaccinated en masse. And Flávio, it's more of the same from Bolsonaro. No, I know. Flávio, for example, is saying he got vaccinated. No, I got vaccinated. I'm vaccinated. No, blah, blah. Because Flávio, he knows that most people are on the other side, the vaccine side, and he's trying to get the majority's vote. But don't be fooled. Flávio Bolsonaro is part of that group. Flávio Bolsonaro is Bolsonaro through and through. Flávio Bolsonaro is just like his father. It's more of the same. It's a lot more of the same from Bolsonaro. Mocking, cruel, full of schemes. Now he's trying to act like a saint, right? Like some champion of justice and morality, someone who isn't a denialist. But it's the same thing. It's the same root. It's the same source. And it will definitely be the same result if he becomes president of the republic. That's why I say it, and I'll say it again. Neither the Father nor the Son. Bolsonaro, never again. Write that down. Put it that way. Not the Father, not the Son. Bolsonaro, never again. Bolsonaro, he'll go down the drain of history, and soon. No immunity, no elected seat, no office, nothing left, nothing. And what do I think? Do I think? It's goodbye. Hit the like button, comment, and share. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.